Winter in Montana was harsher than anywhere Elliot had ever been. Snow blanketed the trees, and the wind howled through the branches, carrying a bone-chilling cold. But for Elliot, solitude in the wild was exactly what he sought. After losing his dearest loved one in a tragic accident, he abandoned the city, distanced himself from all relationships, and retreated to a small cabin in the woods to spend his remaining days in quiet isolation. One night, as he sat by the fireplace, listening to the crackling wood, a strange sound outside startled him. He paused, listening carefully. A weak growl, nearly swallowed by the howling wind. His heart pounded. Grabbing a flashlight and his hunting rifle, Elliot stepped to the door. Under the dim glow of his flashlight, he froze at the sight before him, a mother bear, her fur matted with snow and ice, her body trembling from exhaustion. But what made him hesitate wasn't her presence, it was her eyes. Desperate, pleading, as if she were begging for a miracle. When the flashlight beam shifted downward, he noticed a deep wound on her front leg, blood seeping out, staining the pure white snow beneath her. A sharp pang shot through his heart, not just out of sympathy for the creature before him, but because it stirred painful memories of his own loss. Instinct told Elliot to shut the door. A starving bear in the dead of winter could be deadly. But then, his heart urged him otherwise. He had long stopped believing in connections, but he knew the pain of losing a loved one. Hesitating only a moment, he stepped back and opened the door wide. The bear stood there, uncertain, but then staggered inside. Elliot quickly grabbed a blanket, gently wiping the ice from her fur, then used what little supplies he had to clean the wound on her leg. The bear whimpered softly but did not resist. When he finished, he set some food nearby and observed silently. The bear sniffed, then slowly ate. That night, she curled up near the fireplace, her breathing gradually growing steady. In the following days, the bear recovered, but something about her behavior caught Elliot's attention. She frequently gazed toward the door, occasionally growling in anxious frustration. The restlessness in her eyes was impossible to ignore. Then, one morning, as the sun barely crested the horizon, the bear suddenly stood up, stepped to the door, and let out an urgent growl. Elliot put on his coat, grabbed some food, and followed her. They trekked through the snow-covered forest, across steep slopes, the icy wind cutting against his face like a knife. Eventually, the bear stopped before a small cave. Inside, two bear cubs lay curled up, shivering from the cold and hunger, their weak whimpers barely audible, as if they were fading away. Elliot's heart clenched. A familiar pain surged through him, the ache of loss, the helplessness against fate. Without hesitation, he gently lifted the cubs, feeling their frail bodies tremble in his arms. The mother bear let out a low growl but didn't stop him. She only watched him, her eyes no longer filled with fear, but trust. Back at the cabin, Elliot devoted himself to caring for the bear family. He prepared food, kept the fireplace burning, and even made space in his home for them to rest. For the first time in years, he felt something he thought he had lost forever, connection. Night after night, beside the warm fire, he watched over them, wondering whether fate had brought them here so he could save them, or so they could save him. Winter gradually passed. When the first rays of spring sunlight pierced through the trees, Elliot knew it was time to say goodbye. Standing at the cabin door, he watched the mother bear and her cubs slowly walk away. But before disappearing into the forest, she turned back one last time, looking at him. In that fleeting moment, Elliot felt her silent farewell, a wordless expression of gratitude. Months later, he occasionally glimpsed the three bears in the distance, watching him from the woods. They never approached, but he knew they were there. A quiet reminder that even after loss, hope could be found again. And from that moment on, he realized, winter did not bring only cold and loneliness. Sometimes, it was the beginning of a journey toward healing. Not just for the bears, but for himself as well. The story of Elliot and the bear family is not just a tale of survival in a harsh winter but also a profound lesson in empathy, compassion, and the power of connection. Elliot chose solitude to escape the pain of his loss, but in opening his heart to help the mother bear and her cubs, he unknowingly healed himself as well. This reminds us that no matter how much we have suffered or lost, the human heart always has the capacity to love and rediscover hope. Sometimes, helping others doesn't just change their lives, it gives us a renewed sense of purpose in our own. The story also teaches us that kindness needs no words or conditions. An act of genuine compassion can create bonds stronger than anything else. And ultimately, no matter how cold and unforgiving winter may seem, it can still mark the beginning of a journey toward healing, if we dare to open our hearts and embrace it.